turn that on. There we go. Now I think we've got audio. Live from the Ramsey Center tonight, it's Catamount Coaches Show presented by Catamount Jacks and Stanberry Insurance tonight. Our good friends over at Catamount Jacks not on location there. A busy week here trying to coordinate schedules, but we'll be back at Catamount Jacks. So we hope that next time you come to Cullowhee, you visit our good friends over at Catamount Jacks. Exceptionally good time, exceptional staff. They got the axe throwing in the back. They got the social house in the front. Nothing goes better together than axes and alcohol. I love that. I think that should be their tagline. But our good friends over at Catamount Jacks really appreciate all that they do for Catamount Athletics and all they do for our coaches shows. Again, all through the fall, we had Western Carolina, our football coaches show, Catamount Football Weekly, our Catamount Coaches Show. Getting some of these back in order. We'll have one here. We're going to look to try to get a coaches show in order for the Southern Conference Basketball Championship preview coming up the first part of March. Make sure you get your tickets to be over in Asheville. We want to paint Asheville purple as we get ready for those coming up, again, first part of March. Busy week here in Catamount Country. How about this? Let's see if I can get them all right off the top. Catamount Women's Tennis, they open up their home schedule. Finally, after much moving of scheduled games, they open up their home schedule tomorrow. That comes up against Young Harris at 2 p.m. Oh, I got a little on-screen help as well. Then, of course, we got men's basketball here on Wednesday. We'll talk with Tim Kraft about that. It is a purple out as the Citadel Bulldogs come to town. Please note the earlier start time of 6 p.m. Then, of course, Furman comes to town. We're going to change from purple to white. Instead of purple out, we're going to white out Ramsey as we welcome in the Furman Paladins. Again, a 6 o'clock start on Thursday, women's basketball action. Baseball's in town. They have George Washington Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4, 2, and 1. Women's basketball back in here against the Wofford Terriers. Got to watch the end of their game against Chattanooga as they upset the unbeaten Mocs this past weekend at home. We get our chance to knock off the Terriers. Almost had them, should have had them, arguably, on the road at their place. We'll get them at our place this weekend. And, of course, our softball team. We'll talk with Jim Clifton a little bit as we have from the hardwood to the diamond tonight. We'll talk softball as well. They open up on the road at North Carolina A&T, so all those Piedmont Triad fans that came out for basketball last week, for the men, be sure to mark your calendars for softball this week in the Gate City of Greensboro. From the Catamount Sports Network, I'm Daniel Hooker, joined by Jonathan Sippas, who's been patiently waiting to get his opportunity to speak. Coach, we look at this thing, a big week here for us, an opportunity to continue to build as we continue to do that here with this program. Talk about where you are right now coming in, some tough games on the road. I love the fight that this team has. No matter what comes their way, every night they've got a battle. Every coach we talk to says, man, they play so hard. And you've got to earn it against this Western Carolina squad.
Yeah, good to be back in in the Ramsey Center on Ingalls Court after 3 straight road games, and just 2 weekends of untraditional travel with weather, having to go to Greensboro a day early, having some bus difficulties on the way to Samford that we didn't get into real late, but that's not to make excuses. That's obviously it's I think character's built built when you have adversity, and but again, glad to have them sleeping in their own beds and being ready the second time through the conference. And when you flip teams, you have the different preparation as opposed to the one day. Now you've got the team for the whole week, and again, this past weekend, to be a 1-point game in the third quarter with Samford, have the lead against Mercer, be tied in the fourth quarter. I think we are making strides, and most of the time it is with Dressing's 8 scholarship players. So we'll have the ones who are ready, and again, you see people like Allie Hollifield, that's obviously new to the program, but to put her imprint on this team, having to play out of position at the point guard, and what Grace Pack as a senior in her last set of games, obviously 3 home games left, as well as Ari Dizon as she finishes that her only year here. But excited. Some of our freshman kids are obviously getting a little bit more experience, and Tina Bowers has played 2 of her best 3 games of the season over this stretch on the road, and hoping to continue that. I think the word we always use is consistency, and again, can we be a little bit more consistent in a couple different areas, taking care of the ball, rebounding. I thought we did a good job defensively on Saturday at Mercer, and ended up playing a lot of zone, forced them into poor shooting night, just weren't able to score enough points to steal the victory.
Keep putting a little bit different things on film that people have to prepare for this second go-round of the conference, playing some zone. maybe by necessity because of the healthy bodies. And injuries, again, they're a big part of the game. They're a big part of what you've had to deal with. You lost Konde Abasui early on. You lost Ellie early on at the guard positions. You started the year without Grace, got her going. Again, but you got to love the way that some of your younger players have really started to step up. Sophomores and like Taj Hunter. You mentioned Tina Bowers. I really want to touch on what she's brought here the last couple of weeks. But again, injuries has just really run rampant, and it's almost like you never know what you're going to be able to do. And you and I have talked before in preparing for games on E+. You can't really do the same practice. You can't get up and down the floor like you want to because you're playing so many games. You know, you play a Thursday, Saturday, not a whole lot of time to rest the weary legs.
Well, and I thought, for our team defensively to be able to guard in the full 94 feet at the beginning of the year, even coming back after Christmas, we felt good about, having those extra bodies to be able to do that. And then obviously with Kinde getting hurt in the first conference game and Joyce Malumba being out with a concussion, you just can't, Allie Hollifield's playing 40 minutes and plays so hard. You got to make sure you've got some gas in the tank at the end of the game. And right now, we dress four perimeter players, and Sanford game we played a little bit, with some uncharacteristic lineups just to look at it a little bit more. But, it's just, again, like we have a small margin of error. We understand that. We accept that. And we're going to do the best to make sure our kids are prepared as possible and, have that, a little bit of the, have a chip on our shoulder from the first time through in the conference and, a Furman game that was, maybe a really good half defensively and then maybe one that wasn't very good and kind of the splitting of two evils. And as you mentioned in the Wofford game, not to look ahead, but, a game we scored it really well in the first half and, had a chance to tie the game with 15 seconds left, down 3 and weren't even able to get a shot off. So, again, everybody at this point of the year is going through something. I think that's what you've got to make sure and talk to your players about. Nobody's completely healthy, even if their roster's all dressed and playing. And you've got to understand, you got to take care of what you can take care of, and you can't worry about what's going on across the way, except from the preparation standpoint.
Yeah, obviously, it's the control, what you can control factor, and make sure that you're giving your 110% and then see where the chips fall, that sort of thing. Again, don't forget, if you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comments section here. We'll try to grab those as we go throughout. And, wanted to touch upon your youngsters and a couple of them really that step up in Justice Zimmerman and also with Tina Bowers. How have they grown in this program? Maybe seeing a little more time than you maybe had wanted them to at the beginning of the year, knowing that we're going to have to see playing time on the floor and the way things shake out, but maybe playing a little more than what you would anticipate as a freshman?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the beginning of the season, and Ellie Richardson had earned that starting job, and Kinde was still coming back, and then obviously as she came back, it was an opportunity for Tina to learn by watching from the bench and getting some time each half, and and then obviously Ellie went down, so that moved her up in the rotation, started a couple of games, actually started at Wake Forest for us, and played well. But then you start conference play, and we get Kinde back, and so again that rotation of Tina and Betsy off the bench of kind of giving us two different types of players, turns into just one of them coming off the bench. And again, I think the learning part, she's having to do it kind of thrown in the deep end. But the great part, I think, with Tina is the learning process that she has. She wants to be better. She cares. She's putting extra time in. Figuring out, I think defense, no matter if it's man or zone, is always the hardest thing as a freshman. And again, she has shot it well. But again, in games that you don't shoot it well, how can you still impact the team? And I think understanding that, she's a good rebounder for a guard her size. She's done a good job in the zone of rebounding. She was our leading rebounder on Saturday with 9. I think the consistency, she had 8 in the first half. So being able to do that, for more than a half and understanding the speed of the game and one or two, steps that you take, whether it's back in transition defense or to go rebound the basketball, can be the difference in between success and giving up a layup. So, she brings such a joy to the game. And I think for us, as well as you talk about Justice Zimmerman, having to learn behind Grace and having to learn behind Aerie has been really good. Practice has been really good. She's playing, having to play the 5 maybe more than we would have wanted. Some of that with Joyce being out and then now Riley being out the last couple of games. Again, like she does what we ask her to do, and I think not getting discouraged. She's always in getting extra shots. She works her tail off, and again, just really proud of the fight she brings every single day for our program.
Yeah, you talk about again being without Riley Price being in there, another one of your freshmen. Again, youngsters that are being thrown in, and the learning curve. You can go and you can be a superstar in high school, but now everybody at this level was a superstar in high school. So now it's making that transition. And again, we know players can score, we know players can rebound. We've seen it. You've watched them in the recruiting process. Now it's a matter of doing it. And I think the biggest difference people don't see, and maybe you can speak to this, is the digestion of scouting reports from a Thursday to a Saturday, and then watching it how that translates. Could be easier a second time through the lineup as well.
Yeah, no question, and I think that to retain the information is one thing, and we're going to dig deep into that. We have to understand it as a staff too of how much they can then carry out,
right.
And sometimes it's a matter of going in with one game plan, and we did feel like we would probably play more zone on Saturday against Mercer, but they started 5 guards, and obviously for us, Grace is an important key. Coming off a game of 16 points and 15 rebounds against Samford, we're not going to just take her out of the lineup. We've got to figure out how to finesse that, and the zone worked well against Mercer. They shot more threes. I think, Coach Clark Hurd got them, in the second quarter where they only shot 1 and tried to get the ball inside more and try to pick us apart that way. But, just that change, I think it's a different level. It's to be able to move on too, I think, is part of that, of understanding when Thursday's over, it's over. And, even on the bus ride over, from Samford to Mercer, like, we got to be ready to go Friday morning, and what we're going to do and get practice in and recovery and, just mentally, I think, be as prepared is so important. And then understand you're going to get to a point physically that you got to look over and say the other team has played the same amount of minutes as you have. How can you be able to beat them in your mind in the same way from a physicality standpoint?
So now you look at, again, a couple of color rush games this week, and we talk about it. One, we're going to wear white at home normally like we do, but we're asking the fans to wear white for the white out against Furman coming up after we have the purple out for the men on Wednesday, and then you got your pink game coming up on the weekend. Again, something that's very important to a lot of folks, people that just the cancer awareness and what it does with those games with wearing pink and having pink on your uniform that game. What do those games mean? Looking at home against, again, Furman coming up with the white out, always fun to get the fans to all wear white. And then, of course, the Think Pink game or the pink game this weekend.
Well, I think in our pink game's a little bit later just because, we've been on the road the last 2 weeks. And I think, we always talk to the team, and there's nobody that's not been, some way affected by cancer, whether it's friends, family, some individuals. Obviously, it's near and dear. Last year, Coach Lowry lost her mom, who was a breast cancer survivor. And again, I think to have something like that has a little bit more meaning than just being a purple out or being a white out. So, we'll do something, and talk to the team. They'll talk about who they're fighting for. But again, it's just great to see how the women's basketball community as a whole has gathered around that, with obviously somebody like Kay Yao, in state at NC State was such a proponent, had cancer herself, turned this into a national movement with the research. But, I think for us, it's an emotional time too. And understanding at the end of the day, we're playing a game.
Yeah.
And we're talking about how can we raise awareness for people to extend their lives, save their lives, and again, it always is something that hits really, really hard. And in my family, it hasn't necessarily been breast cancer, but it's been different kinds of cancer on the male side. So I think that awareness for all cancer involved is what's really important.
Oh, for sure. And, of course, welcoming back survivors as well that are there at the game. Big part of the emotion that goes into the spectating side of watching those games. So Furman and Wofford coming up this week as we wrap things up here on this. What are you looking at? Again, great just to be back at home after what seems like forever, an extended road game, road series, road trip there. But you're here again on Thursday, 6 o'clock inside the Ramsey Center. What are you looking for out of Furman, and kind of sneak peek at the Terriers.
Yeah, Furman, I think Coach Curtis is doing an amazing job he's got such a great sophomore class and being able to mix some of the transfers he's had. They go, they beat Greensboro, they go into Wofford and win one, with 1 second left. And then I think, have all this momentum, and they have 2 home games that they've lost to Chattanooga, or they beat ETSU and lost to Chattanooga, and they lose 2 at home, so they're obviously going to be really motivated. But they're really they score the ball really, really well. They've got multiple threats on the floor at all times, and Claire Coyle is averaging almost 12 rebounds a game. She had 9 offensive rebounds the first time against us. So again, I think that their ability to score the ball, we're going to have to be really good defensively, and then they lead the league in total rebounds. They just have an unbelievable effort of going. He's kind of changed their team a little bit. They had 2 really good rotational 4 players who have been hurt, and I think they've played better since they've gone to the smaller lineup. But they definitely want to get back on track, and sometimes with younger teams, when they go on the road, there's less distraction. They're 4-1 away from home in the conference, and then you get to Wofford, who's coming off of beating Chattanooga, as you already mentioned. Besides the Pink Zone game on Saturday, it'll be an alumni game for us. So
right.
we're expecting a lot of our alumni back to bring their family back, to be able to. I think it's so important to share their experiences with our current players. Wofford has probably the most dynamic freshman in the league, and Gabby Monday, who's had 28 and 32 over the last 2 weeks. Yeah. So to have a freshman at the point who can average 20 points a game, and they've gotten. One of the leading freshmen last year, Massengale, is back. She missed our game the first time, and Queen Igabiu, if I'm not pronouncing that right, I apologize, is probably the most improved player in the league in the post. So, they'll be well coached with Jimmy Garrity. It was a game that went down to literally right at the buzzer last year here when they scored. They scored right at the buzzer. So, like we talked about, we played well there. We did enough things to win. We just didn't finish it out. And so 2 great challenges for us, and we're excited about it.
You talk about the Wofford game. It's really the last 2 have gone down to the final possession against a team that has been a perennial power the last handful of years under Jimmy Garrity. And talking about Alumni Day, I will say this. I got a message from Kendra Carroll. Everybody called her Tuck. She was from Kentucky. She shared with me a story about the 2009 team. I'm going to look at that, maybe share that as a part of this leading into Alumni Day from what former player Kendra Carroll. So, Kendra, if you're listening in, I did get your message. I haven't got back to you yet. That's on my to-do list, but I want to share that. But, again, looking forward to seeing some of those alum that come back from all across the different ages. And, again, looking forward to seeing that this weekend. Again, don't forget, on Thursday, you're going to wear purple. On Wednesday for the Catamount men against the Citadel, you're going to wear white against the Furman Paladins coming up, and then you're going to break out the pink this weekend as we, again, think about all the things that go in with cancer awareness, breast cancer awareness being one of the primary focuses, but, again, all cancer that has touched so many people across so many different ways. So, again, look forward to that this weekend. Part of a busy week here in Catamount Country. 2 great opportunities for our squad. Get out and watch this team play. Again, extremely hard workers. Love seeing the effort. Have seen the growth from November to now. Really has grown. Looking forward to seeing that this week, Coach. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much for having me, Daniel. We'll see everybody here in the Ramsey Center, or obviously, on the field, and wish women's tennis and Coach Cliff in softball and Coach Beck in baseball a great start to their seasons.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Of course, that game, both of your games are going to be regionally televised as well, so looking forward to that if you can't make it out. But we would rather see let's put a good product in the stands and on the court as we showcase what we have here. So let's pack the stands to show the regional television what we've got going on. So, again, looking forward to that this week as we got, again, women's basketball Thursday and, of course, on Saturday. Coach, appreciate your time. We'll let you get back to preparing as you get, again, 2 tough ones coming up. And we're going to flip our focus from the hardwood to the diamond. We're going to talk some Catamount softball on the other side of this quick timeout. Then we've also got men's basketball and baseball waiting in the wings. Great coaches show planned for you tonight. Again, presented by our good friends over at Catamount Jacks. And, of course, as always, Stanberry Insurance. We'll continue with more from Cullowhee in the Ramsey Center right after this.
At Ingalls, our greatest joy comes when we can play some small part in helping the communities we call home. And really, it's all thanks to you. From tools for schools to hurricane relief to toys at Christmas time, we've done it together. And this time, you've done it again. Thanks for your kindness at the cash register, your smiles across the aisles, and your can-do spirit. Ingalls, we're with you every step of the way.
Hey, welcome back in. Time to flip from an indoor sport to somebody who is not very bright because they're going to play outside in February. We're talking softball, baseball. We're going to talk softball first, Jim, and obviously the weather has been great outside. I mean, it's nice, crisp, and cool, 35-degree weather, 30-mile-an-hour winds blowing, ice and snow on the field, but again, we're looking forward to it. Softball season, it's here. It opens up on Wednesday. Catamounts will travel down, scheduled to at least, to North Carolina A&T under the middle part of the state down in Greensboro. Got hit with a lot of ice and snow, sleet the next day. We were just down there playing men's basketball at UNCG and playing over at A&T. But then you get to go maybe a little bit warmer down to Charleston for the weekend and get a look at the schedule on your screen there as we head down to the low country of South Carolina. Then you'll get to open up against Winthrop here. But let's talk about, again, how things have been going for your squad as you start to get ready for the season. The big question, first question is, are you ready?
We're only practicing because we don't have any games to play right now. So, yeah, the girls are really, really excited with high expectation, excited about getting going. They're tired of practicing and ready to play.
Well, it's like Alan Beck told me yesterday after the scrimmage over at baseball. He goes, our guys are just ready to see a different jersey. They're tired of the pitchers knowing the scouting report on the batter. They want to get somebody that they don't know, and the batters are ready to see a pitcher that they don't know. So, again, looking forward to that. Again, that's got to be the way it goes this part of the year. But, again, you talk about your squad, and right off the top, we got to start with one of the best players in the Southern Conference, who I think is probably the best player, Lily Bell, and what she does for your program. Let's talk about Lily first and foremost. We'll talk more and more about the rest of your squad. But, again, one of the top 100, one of the top players in the region, obviously in the Southern Conference. Let's talk about your all-conference team players. But Lily Bell right off the top has got to be one that's a focal point.
Oh, no doubt. She brings an energy. You know, when you have a leadoff hitter, a prolific leadoff hitter, you know, you want them to, you know, be that spark plug, and she fits that bill. I mean, she's an amazing talent, probably. I don't know if anything's natural about it, but a natural talent. But then just to watch her work and analyze her game and then make improvements. We have a saying around here is our goal every day is to get 1% better, and you know, she typifies that. If you go down at any time in the morning, she's putting an extra hour every day. I don't know if she misses a day, and you know, great teammate. She just wants to win for the team and doing everything she can to make that happen.
You talk about the four players on the all-conference team, she being one of those, and then Sydney Dirks, another player that comes in, an outstanding year a season ago, trying to piggyback off of that. So, again, a lot of the focus, as you see the four all-conference players you had there with, again, adding in Maya McPherson and Riley Butler. Dirks honored twice on the first team and second team, talking about a player that was honored in the outfield. And then, let's say as an all-purpose player, as a designated player, pretty good honor there as well to be a first team and a second teamer. So she goes, look, guys, I got it covered. Y'all can talk about Lily Bell all you want to. She wasn't two-time preseason All-Southern Conference.
Yeah, and we're kind of making a transition for her from infield. Not that she won't see any infield, but making a transition to the outfield and probably getting to see some DP as well. I really feel the first 2 years, and you're right. She, for a lot of people, you'd be thinking she had a breakout year. I think she was still just laying the foundation. And really kind of finding out what her impact would be for our team and what it would look like in the conference. She's somebody to keep an eye on from almost just kind of exploding out there. She started about a month she had a solid season throughout, but about the last month of the season, softball looked like a beach ball. and she showed up in the fall, and it apparently has
Carried
continued
over.
to look like that way.
Yeah.
And so I'm really expecting her to be somebody that it can be an explosive impact from game to game for us.
Well, not only that, but really 2/3 of your outfield, at least with Dirks, and then you add in a Riley Butler. 2/3 of your players that you've expected to see some time in the outfield were preseason all conference. That's got to make you feel good. We'll talk about Riley Butler and how has she making a move?
Yeah, and Riley, she brings a passion to the field and such a love, and all of them do, but such a love for her team. She would do anything to help the team succeed, and all three of the players you've already mentioned, and there's probably another bunch of them that if you know who they're coming up, it's going to be a tough out and a tough one to face. And every time she swings, she doesn't leave anything in the dugout. Just a great teammate and a passionate player. Has just a cannon for an arm. She'll if you're not hustling or don't have the speed and you hit a sharp single out to right field, you might get thrown out at first just the same.
Yeah.
Just a really good player. We've been really lucky to have her on our team.
Well, you talk about that. I always gave a hard time because, Sydney Dirks wearing jersey 77, Maya McPherson wearing jersey 66. If there was any oddities in that and picking that up. But Maya McPherson, she's one of the crazy ones that wants to play the hot corner. That's the position, I think, in softball. First base, maybe a little bit less because lefty slappers aren't going to haul off and pull it down the line. Third base at the hot corner is definitely a hot corner in softball.
There's no doubt, and we're lucky that Maya's the one that's playing that spot for us. She's one of the best gloves on the team. Just dynamic. You look at her, and I think just her demeanor carries out there. She kind of scares people. It's really quiet and kind of got a quiet intensity about her, but she just kind of stalks her position. And we're really lucky to have her. She's again just got a rifle for an arm. Very accurate, and she's grown into that position. She may be in the same boat with Sid, where these first 2 years for her career have been a foundation builder, and we're going to really see her emerge. Even though she had a fantastic year last year, I think I think she was just getting things set up for the second half of her career.
Well, it's something about those California kids that softball in California, they just go hand in hand. Softball and beach volleyball in California, volleyball players and everything, it's just a different step. Talk about in the circle now. You're going to have to move on from losing one of the top pitchers we've ever had, talking about Tessa Jewett, but you've returned some youngsters that were kind of thrust into the fire a year ago, having to see some time. Talk about your pitching staff.
Yeah, we're still, still young. We have Riley Pennington as I think, kind of a redshirt junior, but this will be her last year. She's going to graduate this year. But after that, everybody's, a sophomore or a freshman. And, we've got Amanda coming back, and I'd say she's going to probably be leading our staff. So we're going to have some youth, but I think we're going to have some consistency because of the another year on there. Her and A.G. Batson are both sophomores, and I think we're going to have a very consistent pitching staff that I think we have two freshmen coming in that I think will be able to add some dimension to it as well with Bree Bunsick and Amari Burse, and so I think we're looking for the pitching staff to be maybe a little bit more grounded than it was last year.
Might have been Bunsick that I saw at the tail end of your scrimmage inter-squad yesterday. A little bit different of a motion it looked like instead of with the start of the delivery. And I don't know about you, but I still can't throw the ball. They say it's easy because it's underhand, blah, blah, blah. I can't get it down. I can't get the steps down. It's like me trying to do a line dancing. It's not pretty. But again, what are these freshmen? They seem to have an edge. They don't seem to, what we've seen just from the practices, they don't seem to have any fear coming in.
Right, and Bree has a pretty decorated high school career. Really top pitcher and one of the top pitchers in her state from Tennessee, and she every once in a while you'll get somebody that comes in that has done the work on the front end to be physically fit, and they can start. And Bree is one of the top conditioned and stand out in the weight room right from the very start. And so she's another one. If you go down there, don't be surprised. She's in there either throwing at the 9 pocket because she couldn't find anybody to catch her, or she's down there swinging the bat. She can put a swing. I think she's going to go through some freshman growing pains. There's nothing like being here. Somebody can tell you what it's like to play Division I softball, but until you put those cleats on and step on that field, it's a new experience. But I think we're going to see a lot from her. And Amari, she's the one you don't know whether she's striking out the side or somebody maybe popped one, or she's got the same demeanor, and she goes about it with a purposeful effort. And so I'm excited to see what's going to happen for them this year.
So we know Lily Bell, she's going to hit for average. She's going to be on base, and she stretches singles into doubles with her stolen base ability. So we know she's going to be at second base pretty much. Might as well call her the international tiebreaker because that's where she's going to be.
Yep.
She's going to be at second base. You got Sydney Dirks, double-digit home runs a year ago.
Yep.
Maya McPherson looking to make a jump to try to catch Dirks. Who has been a surprise? Who has stepped up through this preseason that you're like, wow, we knew they were good, or they've made that jump from last season to this season?
Right. I think I'm not sure it's going to be any one person, but I think instead of saying we're looking for somebody to emerge, we're going to see a bunch. Last year we raised our batting average from the year before, but we did it with 3 people jumping up there. And Lily goes from a week 383 or whatever her freshman year,
a paltry
right,
380
whatever that, right,
to a
455. And I think both Sid and Maya bumped their averages up by 20 or 30 points each. We actually, numbers of hitters to stretch out the lineup, we lost from the year before that, JJ and Boo, and so we didn't have as many numbers hitting that way. I think we're going to go back and not only stay, maybe improve on that overall team batting average, which was fantastic, but it's going to be stretched out through the lineup. I think we're going to have we've got some dynamic freshmen that are, I think going to open some eyes. I think we're going to. I think the improvements we're going to see. We're going to have an improvement in the circle. I think offensively, we're going to have a noticeable improvement, and that's after having a solid year as a team. And then I think our defense is going to jump up. We'll have one of the best outfields we've ever had. A very well-led senior, where we were just a couple years, we had a full freshman infield except for maybe one sophomore in there. Now we're going to have maybe one freshman in the infield, and everybody else is going to be juniors and seniors. And so I think that we've done the work on the front end. We have matured, and we're going to take advantage of that. That's going to be what it's going to look like for us.
Perfect. Well, Coach, do want to say hello to Fast Eddie listening in from down the Piedmont Triad. Don't forget, they open up on Wednesday down at North Carolina A&T. Catamount softball opening up the season on the road. Again, weather permitting, maybe not weather actually at that moment, maybe weather from the last 2 weeks permitting, as it were. But then you get to come back home again next Tuesday. You've got Winthrop here in town. Looking further down the line, you got a tournament in between there. But first part of March, you're back at home hosting the Catamount Classic. How important is it for you guys to be able to host tournaments at your home field?
Well, we've been. This will be our 3rd tournament that we've hosted. The first one we had a little bit of weather and lost one game when the whole region lost all of their games. I always tell everybody I think that we get a bad rap. A perfect example of it was it was gorgeous this weekend here. The field is ready to play championship ball on, and they're losing games down in the middle of the state and other parts of the region. So we are looking, we started doing tournaments, and they've been really successful. The last couple have been, fantastic, and we're already setting up for next year's, matter of fact, and we're almost full on that one. But one of the things that was really important for us was to schedule in a way that, you always worry about budget, but we also worry about, competitive advantage. And when you're playing over 2/3 of your games away, it's tough.
Yep.
You look at anybody and they play better at home. So I think one of the things that we really strive for is to have a really balanced schedule. And this year we're going to have more home games than we ever have. Part of that's thank you to having the Catamount Classic and getting 5 of those at home on one weekend. So it's really important for us to get home games. and spend some time off the road. Sometimes I've looked back at years, and I know for a fact that it's affected our overall success and from being road weary. And it's good to going to be home. We've got it paced out, and at one point we're going to stay home for a long time, but
yeah.
We're not going to be on the road for any super extended period of time at all this season.
Well, Coach, again, wish you the best of luck as you get going this week. Picked preseason in 6th in the Southern Conference. Not where you start, matters where you finish, and I don't think that 6th is going to hold up. I'm pretty sure it's going to be about 3 or 4, maybe 5, maybe even 6 higher than that. Watching this team perform, watching the work ethic of these young ladies, always around, again, 4 named preseason all-conference in 5 different positions. Again, Sydney Dirks has the bragging rights of being a 2-time preseason all-Southern Conference selection in 2 different positions. But again, getting underway this weekend. Mark your calendar for next Tuesday. What is that, the 17th, I think, to be at home, to open up against Winthrop. Again, we'll have those games, of course, on ESPN+, as many as we can get to. A lot of home games to get to this year. Again, there's the schedule. Check catamountsports.com for more information on that. But looking forward to being back. And, again, we didn't get to talk about all the players. I mean, you're seeing 3 right there. I don't think we touched on maybe Riley Pennington. But, again, Tate Stuman, an outstanding infielder, and then Taylor Waitley, kind of the boss behind the plate. Looking for her to have an outstanding year as well. So, again, we could sit here and talk all day about this team because there's that much talent. Looking forward to watching you guys compete this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got a couple seniors, both Tate and Taylor are 2 of our captains, along with Becca Wansick, who's another one that watch out. We're excited. We've got good leadership. It starts at the top, and nothing but a lot of good expectations based on some real fact. So we're excited.
And the crazy thing is there's only 1 ball.
Yep.
All this with all that talent, only 1 ball. So everybody gets a chance to bat. You only got 9 positions to bat though. So we got to figure that out. Who's going to get in the lineup? Good coopetition, cooperative competition. It's my favorite word to use. I think Darryl Waltrip used it first.
Yep.
Coopetition. But looking forward to that going forward, Coach. Wish you the best of luck this season. Thanks for being here with us tonight.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, that's Western Carolina head softball coach Jim Cliff. As we talk Catamount softball, we'll switch back to the hardwood. We're going to come inside a little bit more because it's cold out there where Jim plays and where Jim lives, but it's going to be warmer inside the Ramsey Center. We'll talk about Wednesday night. We've got Tim Kraft men's basketball coming up next. We'll talk about Wednesday night being at home. It's a purple out. We've got purple jerseys that we're giving away to our students. Don't go anywhere. We continue with more after this. Wow, by the way, go online to catamountsports.com. Take the opportunity to vote for Paws. The Ingalls Mascot Challenge is back. Make sure you get a chance to vote for Paws. And also mark your calendars for March 25th. It's one day for Western. Make sure it's an all-in giving day. Again, visit oneday.wcu.edu. A lot more to talk about as we continue. More after this as we continue from the Ramsey Center on our Catamount Coaches Show, presented by Catamount Jacks and our good friends at Stanberry Insurance. Right back after this.
Here's where you plug in the USB that goes to your computer. Western North Carolina is 3 different styles.
At Ingalls, our greatest joy comes when we can play some small part in helping the communities we call home. And really, it's all thanks to you. From tools for schools to hurricane relief to toys at Christmas time, we've done it together. And this time, you've done it again. Thanks for your kindness at the cash register, your smiles across the aisles, and your can-do spirit. Ingalls, we're with you every step of the way.
Hey, welcome back to our Catamount Coaches Show. Again, coming to you live tonight from the Ramsey Center. A busy week here in Catamount Country. And again, tonight's show presented by our good friends over at Catamount Jacks. All that they do to help us. Make sure you stop by to see them next time you come to see the Catamounts play. The axe throwing in the back, the social house in the front. A great time had by all. An exceptional staff, an exceptionally fun time all over at Catamount Jacks. Again, make sure you stop by and see them next time. You come to Cullowhee, it's right across from the Ramsey Center, right across from the Catamount campus here in Cullowhee. Hope you'll see them. And, of course, all of our shows presented by Stanberry Insurance. Online at stanberry-ins.com. Let them give you a quote on all of your insurance needs. Stanberry-ins.com. Give them a call. Home, auto, life, anything you need, they've got it in terms of insurance. Been back in the Catamounts for well over 40 years. Daniel Hooker back with you here, joined now by Western Carolina head coach Tim Kraft, talking Catamount basketball. And again, we're back at home here in the midweek. Great opportunity. We'll talk about the giveaway here. Going to be wearing the purple jerseys at home. Looking forward to the purple out. But again, let's talk about your squad coming in. A tough one down at UNCG. A really tough road loss there at the end. Fell behind, battled back. Again, we've seen that story a couple of times this year with this squad, but I love the resiliency that we continue to show.
Yeah, we did show great resiliency there in the second half and got down a little bit early and came back, and then it was kind of, back and forth the whole way till the very end. But, difficult way to lose the game at the end for those that saw it. But we got to keep moving forward, and we got a great week here home at Citadel, and then on the road for Chats. We got a great week here, week 7, right, of the conference season. 3 more weeks till conference tournament.
Yeah, looking forward to that, heading down the stretch. And, again, one of the next opportunities is we're running out of opportunities, if you haven't been to the Ramsey Center, to see this squad. A great opportunity coming up, as you mentioned, with the Citadel Bulldogs coming into town on Wednesday night. Going to be a purple out, as we got a busy week. Purple out one night. Then the next night we're going to white out. So, again, make sure you get your colors correct as you come in. Purple on Wednesday. Against Furman, we're going to have the white out for the women's game. Make sure you're decked out in the proper attire when you come out to Catamount Country. And, of course, our good friends from the Everson, we'll get it back on a wide shot here. Looking forward to giving these out. These have been really popular, these replica jerseys.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how about the replica jersey here? The purple replica jersey, again, 6th man. That's what we need here inside the Ramsey Center, presented by our good friends at the Everson. We'll just lay that up here and let that be on display for the rest of this segment here. And, again, looking forward to that. But, again, purple out at home. Yeah. Again, the color rush type of games, a little added bonus, a little extra. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, everybody wants one of these jerseys, right?
Sure.
Wear around town and put it on for the game. And should be a great night. We got Citadel coming in. They're having a great season. So it should be a great game, a lot of fun to watch. And we hope we get everybody here, get all the students packed in there to the cat cage.
Let's talk about your team again as you look at it. Injuries have created some opportunities. Injuries have created necessity for opportunities, but guys continuing to find their roles and growing up. A lot of your freshmen seeing a lot more time. You talk about what Talon Petway making a couple of starts here recently. Samuel Dada making a couple of starts here recently. Those two guys, I think, in my estimation, shoe-in when it comes to the all-freshman team when it comes up at the end of the year.
Well, they've had good seasons for sure, both of them. And you're right. I mean, we didn't know how much those guys would play this year to start. Injury to Vern Collins put Samuel Dada right, at the forefront of a guy that really needed to play a lot. And then Kaba's been out for a game or two too. So, Samuel's done great. He's had a great year. Really proud of his growth and development. And Talon, he joined our team like a week before school started. I mean, it was a late addition, and we were thankful to get him on board. And he's really had a nice year for us. Has really been efficient offensively. Both those guys, really been efficient offensively for no matter whether you're a freshman or a senior. Both those kids have great numbers, and we're thankful for them being with us.
And we've seen some of the highlights rolling here with the ETSU win here at home. Got them up at their place. It's the anomaly of our team this year. The only 2 losses for the first-place team in our conference right now. The shoe-in everybody thinks is going to be the favorite to win. They've lost twice to our Western Carolina squad. We've played extremely well in those games, and those guys have been key catalysts. And again, talking about injuries, you talk about you missed Tejan Damasi this past weekend. Hopefully have him back because he gives you that physicality at a point guard position. Cord Stansberry, I think he's been battling through shoulder issues, but injury is part of the game. But I really, again, going back to the loving to see how the guys are rallying around each other and remaining resilient.
Yeah, I mean, injuries are a part of it. Everybody's dealing with it. I would think most of the teams in our league have had to deal with some different injuries throughout the year, and it's just part of it. We do feel like we have really good depth, and we feel like we have a lot of guys on the roster that can help us win. For us, it's just like you said. It's we gotta find more consistency on both ends, but particularly on the defensive end. An identity defensively where we have some defensive confidence. You hear everybody talk about the confidence offensively, and I think that's really important, but we got to develop a little more defensive confidence so that no matter who we have out there in the game, we feel like we can get stops, especially when we need them. And that's so important in these close games. We've had, five of our losses in league play. In the last 30 seconds, we were in a position to still win the game. Didn't make the play we needed to down the stretch. So we're right there. We're really close. We got to find a way to kind of get over the hump here in these last 3 weeks and hopefully get on a roll.
Well, the crazy thing is you talk about those 5 games or so that have been 5 points or fewer right there at the end of a ball game. Some have stretched out a little more because of free throws, trying to extend games. But, again, they're all within 1 to 2 possessions. You could take that record and almost flip it on its ear, and now you're talking about being a top 3 seed instead of being fighting can still here in the middle part of our conference.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, we could be right there in the mix in the top 3 or certainly, right there in the middle. But again, winning close games is a part of the game, and it's a part of conference play, and most of them are going to come down to the wire, and we've been in a lot of them, and we've gotten experience in a lot of them. We've won some of them, but we've lost quite a few. So we're really confident in our team. We love the kind of buy-in that the guys have, and you just know that things can kind of flip and turn at any point. You can kind of get in a roll in this deal. So, we're again excited for this week, Wednesday, Citadel, but really the next 3 weeks here. Just excited to see where we can be before we roll into Asheville.
We've played in some really good atmospheres throughout the year, especially through our P5, Power 5, Power 4 competition. Played some outstanding atmospheres. But nothing can be rivaled with the Ramsey Center when we get this thing rocking. Again, haven't had a whole lot of opportunities. The weather's not been cooperative in terms of getting the big, huge crowds in here. But down the stretch here, this is where you get that push. You want to be playing your best ball second half of the year. You want to be playing your best ball down the stretch. And here's an opportunity. Talking about Citadel coming in. They nipped us at their place in overtime. I think we owe them one coming back here. They're playing extremely well, and I think Ed Conroy right now might have my vote for Coach of the Year, what he's been able to do
for sure
with a lot of great coaches in this league. But Bulldogs coming in here, they got us at their place. Now it's time to return the favor.
Yeah, down there we were up at half, and then they came back, and just a great college basketball game that they won in overtime, right at the end of overtime. So should be a great game. It's a great matchup. Again, Citadel's having a really good season. But like you said, 4 of our last 6 here at home in the Ramsey Center. And it makes such a difference to have that crowd in the stands, the students loud, and all the support from the local community. Just encourage people to come out. You only have 4 more chances, and this is a fun team to watch play. For those that have seen us play and seen some of the games here, I know they've enjoyed this team. And so, and really encourage people to get here and see us, and starting on Wednesday, but throughout this 3-week stretch.
Well, it's been a high-scoring team. It's been a team that's really improved, especially here through in-conference play, has increased that scoring average just about every week. And so you're going to see some exciting basketball. This conference, top to bottom, has just been wide open. You talk about, again, Western Carolina. We're right there in the thick of things here, fighting in the middle of the conference, but have 2 wins over ETSU and have led just about everybody at some point in a game. Had outstanding starts. Now it's a matter of continuing those starts all the way through.
Yeah, we gotta play 40 minutes. You got to play 40 minutes. That doesn't mean basketball is always going to be a game of runs, but being able to respond to the runs the other teams put together, and we got to be able to find that consistency here down the stretch. But like you said it, man, we can score. We're an exciting team to watch. I think we got a lot of different guys, again, that can impact winning. And excited Wednesday to take a step forward on the defensive end, and looking forward to working on that today and tomorrow, and hopefully we see that show up for us on Wednesday.
Yeah, looking for a big crowd again. Don't forget these purple jerseys. Purple out. The guys will be wearing purple. Make sure you get here early. Get this purple jersey. And we've given out the 96 replica jerseys. We had that giveaway. We've got all kinds of jerseys. Looking forward to baseball season. We'll talk baseball after a while, and looking forward to having some jersey replica giveaway nights on those as well. But nothing better. And these things are pretty
They're
good
nice.
quality as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're really nice. I mean, they're
to be
really
able to get
nice.
something like that. And you see a lot of guys and girls and everybody come into our ball game still wearing even the ones from last year.
That's
You know,
right.
We gave away the white jersey last year.
Yeah.
Saw a lot of the 96 jerseys that came back last time we were at home, and even saw a couple of them on the road. People taking them that have gone on the road with us. So looking forward to that, Coach. Here in February, looking at the end of the month, want to touch upon the February 28th game, looking ahead. Again, not so much about the opponent, but there's a great cause that's near and dear to your heart. Want to make sure we go ahead and talk about it here. Hope to have another one of these coaches shows, Southern Conference Tournament previews, get ready to go to Asheville. But, again, looking forward to the Adoption Day coming up. Talk about that. What does that mean to you and to your family?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Our last game here, February 28th, last home game, we had to reschedule this because of the weather.
Yeah.
But our foster care and adoption awareness game, just trying to bring awareness in our community with Catamount fans for the great need that exists for foster families and people to help foster families and the foster kids that are in the system. And there's so many kids, and there's very few foster families, certified, licensed foster families. There's just very few. There's way more kids than there are families. So there's so many ways to support this cause. It's really needed. My wife and I became foster parents, I guess maybe 9 years ago or so. And it's been a real blessing to us. We had an opportunity to adopt our youngest son, Christian, through that process. And so it's been a real blessing to our family. And it's been able to, going through that process has just opened our eyes to the great need that's out there for so many kids that just need a loving, stable home environment. And so we started this thing at our this foster care game at our the previous school we worked at, and we brought it here last year, and it was really well supported, and we're excited about doing it again here February 28th.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Again, just the great causes that go into it, because, again, we talk about what we're doing. Again, we're playing basketball, we're playing a game, but at the game of life, a lot of things go into it, and I'm really, it's one of those causes that you may not be aware of. And
That's right.
Maybe prior to this, you weren't aware of it until you got involved in the process.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. You hear about foster care, and you hear about that, but a lot of people don't really know how many kids are in care. And it's staggering when you start to see the statistics across the state of North Carolina, in our own county here at Jackson County, and it can really be eye-opening, and then you can start to hear about the different ways you can support and help. And we need foster families in this community. We need that desperately, but you don't have to be a foster parent to help, and there's a lot of other ways to get involved. Not everybody's called to do that. It's not for everyone, and it's not an easy thing. But it is certainly needed in our community and across the state and across the country. And like you said, we weren't aware at all, and our eyes were just really opened, and we felt led to get involved. So hopefully, if we can get one person to commit to getting involved and helping one child, it's worth using our platform to try to communicate the importance of this cause.
I think that's it. I think it's just raising awareness even
Right.
if, just get that out there. Same thing we do, Coaches versus Cancer. You guys wore the stickers that goes to cancer awareness and raises that. We've seen the women have the pink games that raises awareness and just make sure people don't forget about some of the things. And this is one of those causes that, again, not many people may or may not know
Right.
about. So I think that's great. Again, coming up on February 28th. And we'll have more information online at catamountsports.com to talk about that as we go forward. And again, don't forget the Ingles Mascot Challenge currently going on as well. You need to go vote for Paws. We'll talk about this as much as possible. Again, that could end up being money back to the Western Carolina community here at Western Carolina, our fine and proud sponsors with Ingles as a part of that. And I will go ahead and mention two other things coming up. One, I know we have a graphic for as we talk about One Day for Western coming up on March 25th. That'll be during our tournament run in the NCAA. We'll have One Day for Western once we get into the NCAA postseason. But make sure you mark your calendars, One Day for Western. Visit oneday.wcu.edu. Again, it's all in Giving Day, kind of like a Giving Tuesday coming up here in the springtime. Just another day to raise awareness and, again, asking for money and looking to make donations. And, again, just a great cause coming out. I know I donate every single year to go along with my Catamount Club, with my One Day for Western. And not only that, coming up in April, Coach, again, we'll have another one of the songwriters concerts here inside Ramsey Center coming up in late April.
Yeah, Nashville Songwriters Concert. It'll be their second one that we've put on here in Ramsey. It's a great event, a lot of fun, really talented artists that have written country music songs, some of the top hits, over the years. The two guys we have here are phenomenal. If you love country music, you would love it. But great way to support our program as well, and also have a great night.
Again, presented by Budweiser, presented by Ingles as well, and of course all the help from here at the Ramsey Center with that concert. And again, it's another one of those things you talk about, things people didn't know. You hear your favorite artist singing a song. Well, they may not even have written that song, and they may have gotten it from somebody else, and somebody else like me that can't sing that might be able to write a song and have somebody else sing it and say, there you go. And so I think it's a great night, really enjoyable to hear the stories behind the songs. I think that's what that is all about. Again, all the proceeds will go to help with our basketball program. So make sure you mark your calendars for the late April, like April 25th, I think is the date.
That's right.
End of April, coming up with the singer-songwriters concert, the Nashville Songwriters Concert here in Ramsey Center. So, Coach, again, don't forget, it all gets underway Wednesday with purple out. Wear your purple. We're going to have purple jerseys on. Make sure you get out here early. Grab one of these. Of course, our women's team we've talked about with Jonathan Sippis. They've got Furman coming into town and Wofford coming into town this week, so a couple of big games. Again, games can be seen on the Next Star stations, but we want you to be in the building. Get yourself on TV. We're on ESPN for all of it, but get in the stands and get loud. And, again, make sure you're here. Please note the earlier start time as well at 6 p.m. with that televised game as the Citadel Bulldogs come to town in a purple out. We look forward to seeing Julian Samaro out there and all the guys wearing the purple jerseys. We'll give these out. We'll make it look great on TV. Need to show everybody, as I always talk about, get ready for conference tournament time where we're going to paint Asheville purple. It all starts on Wednesday night with these jerseys. Coach, I know you got practice. We're going to let you get to that. Getting ready for Wednesday night. They're getting ready. You need to get ready. You can go pregame over at Catamount Jacks, get all jacked up, and then come on over here to the Ramsey Center again. 6 o'clock start, an earlier start time coming up on Wednesday night. Coach, appreciate your time. And again, wish you the best of luck on Wednesday night. Looking forward to a great crowd.
Thanks a lot, Hook.
All right, so we'll continue, and after this, we'll talk some Catamount baseball as we get ready to head back to the Diamond. We've talked men's basketball, women's basketball, softball. We'll finish it up with baseball on the other side of this quick timeout. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Catamount Coaches Show right here on Facebook Live and on YouTube live from the Ramsey Center, presented by Catamount Jacks and Stanberry Insurance. Don't go anywhere.
Here's where you plug in the USB that goes to your computer.
Hey, welcome back in as we continue and conclude our conversation here. We've gone from the hardwood to the diamond, back to the hardwood, and now again we're going to go back outside where it's nice and cold and talk some Catamount baseball here. Western Carolina baseball opening up their regular season this weekend. 3-game set against George Washington. 7 of our first 8 games will be played here at home. Again, hoping the weather will cooperate and get on out of here. Beautiful weather today. If we could just bottle that up and just crack it open this weekend, we would love that. But again, looking ahead, George Washington in town, looking to have ESPN coverage on Friday and Sunday. Again, keep an eye on the weather as we look at that. Say hello to Jim Bullins, by the way. Kyle Kessler, we heard from Fast Eddie as well, some of the comments and stuff coming in here. Trying to keep tabs on all of those as well. Again, we talked again with Jonathan Sippis, women's basketball at home, Thursday and Saturday. Jim Cliff, we just talked with him about softball. They're on the road before coming back home next Tuesday. And, of course, men's basketball, we mentioned Wednesday night. These jerseys for our students, these purple jerseys on a purple out. So make sure you get all your colors correct this week. It's purple on Wednesday. It's white for the white out against Furman. That on Thursday. And then it's the Think Pink game or the Pink Zone game for the women coming up on Saturday afternoon right here at Ingalls Court at the Ramsey Center. Again, our coaches show presented in part by Catamount Jacks. Normally we're live on location there. Again, with a busy week, trying to get everything prepped. We're here inside the Ramsey Center before we get back over. Again, hope to have a Southern Conference basketball preview show coming up over at Catamount Jacks. Again, appreciate all that they do. Again, the social house in the front, axe throwing in the back. Alcohol and axes goes together like peanut butter and jelly. It's all American. It's so much fun. Make sure you go visit them. Tell them that you appreciate what they do for Catamount Athletics. Goes a long way. Those guys, they work so hard over at Catamount Jacks, and it's a great time. Always fun to go over and take out some aggression throwing axes. Do the boys throw the axes? I saw Eli last time we were over there, I think for the holiday party. Eli might have been throwing the axes.
Yeah, they're both pretty good at it.
Yeah, so
yeah.
They get out there and they take out the aggression. Dad wouldn't let me stay up late. Mom wouldn't let me, and they throw the axes. But, again, make sure you visit Catamount Jacks. And, of course, if you need to, you can also get an insurance policy before you go throw axes. Talk to the good folks at Stanberry Insurance. Online at stanberry-ins.com. Kevin Stanberry and all the folks, they've been back in the Catamounts for over 40 years. Make sure you give them an opportunity. Home, auto, life, business, health, whatever insurance they can probably provide it. Allow them to give you a quote. It'll be competitive. I shop with Stanberry Insurance for my home and my auto, so make sure you give Stanberry Insurance a call. Again, proud sponsors of Catamount Athletics. Now, we look ahead to the Diamond, and, Coach, let's talk about it. Weather's been an issue, but you guys, it makes us tough. It's what makes Catamount baseball so good is the fact that we don't take an off day. It doesn't matter what the weather is. We've rolled snow off the field, built snowmen, and rolled over the snowmen at times. But, again, talk about how things have been this preseason since you guys got back here in January.
Yeah, no, I mean we've had a good preseason, and you can't control the weather. We like the snow for like 24 hours, and then it's time for it to go too. But the guys have handled it well. We've had some cold days out there, but we'd play in it, so you got to get used to practicing in it. And so proud of them for being tough, or at least bundled up.
Yeah, well, I was out there with, I think, a shirt, a sweatshirt, a vest, a hat, a toboggan, or a beanie cap, depending on what part of the country you're from, and a hood on. And I was cold, and I was in the press box. So those guys are definitely really tough. That's why you get the job doing what I do, where you get to sit up there in the warm press box. David Pryor used to always give me a hard time about that. Old Pry Daddy, he always gave me grief about, you're up there in the cold. And I said, look, I opened the window. I'm not totally immune to it, but let's talk about your preseason. You look at the all-conference team, 5 guys named on the all-conference, 3 on the first team, 2 on the second. Thought it was impressive. Your pitching staff getting a little bit of love. You talk about one of your starters, Davis Wright, coming back. Perhaps the ace of the staff, at least here in the preseason. He was named as a first-teamer. Trent Turner, who was the number 7 legacy, of first-teamer. And then Trey Spees, who is kind of finding a position right now after being a guy that filled in as a freshman a year ago. And then talking about pitching staff, Owen Austin and the pride of Randleman out of Randolph County. Old Beans, talking about Ryan White. But talk about these 5 guys individually. You told me yesterday, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. We'll talk about the poll in a moment, but again, it's just one of those things. You got to you feel good about seeing some of your guys honored preseason.
Yeah, no, it's just that they've earned some respect around the league. I love all three of the pitchers being left-handed, lefties win, and they've all had a track record. I don't know where Davis will throw on the weekend, but he's definitely a weekend guy.
He's throwing on every day.
Oh yeah,
In
he
last
throws
year.
every day. He throws every day off the mound. It's crazy, but just loves it. Owen would be more of a back end guy, and Ryan will be probably a relief guy too. But guys that bounce back well, have rubber arms, and are able to do. And that's not an easy job to do. I would think. I never pitched, and certainly wasn't a starting or a reliever. But I'd say that the starting, at least you can get on a routine. Those relievers, man, if they're able to lift their arm up there on the card, and they'll go out and give us what they need. But no, great for all the seniors. Trey being a younger guy. It's kind of the future, and he's had a really good pre-spring. We've moved him around a little bit. I don't know where he'll end up defensively, but he gives us good at bats about every day. And then the one they didn't mention was our only returning first-team All-Conference player, Wyatt Stanley, and he's ready for another good year too.
Yeah, Wyatt moving positions, I think, might have been the reason he wasn't mentioned there. He was, a first baseman, infielder, and did some time over there, and as a DH. Moving to the outfield this year, perhaps, is from what I've seen preseason. How's that move been? And a guy that I think will be an all-conference guy at the end once it's all said and done.
Yeah, no, he's done very well. He'd played a little bit before, but he's done good out there. He's been in left field mainly, but he's made every routine play, made some good ones too. Laid out on Saturday, I believe, Friday or Saturday, made a really nice catch. Went up against the wall a couple times, and then came away with the ball. So. Very pleased with those guys and getting the preseason stuff. I think we have a couple others that could be sleepers that might end up on there with them.
Yeah, picked right there in the middle of the pack preseason. Again, the expectations. You told me I want us to be picked last. I don't want anybody to give us any love. I want to be picked last, but you're picked there in the middle of the pack and really a tight race from the top 5 down. But you said I want to be picked last. That way we go out and have a chip on our shoulder. Again, picked 5th. I think the guys still think they might have an opportunity to be a top 3, top 2 regular season champion type of squad.
Oh, yeah. No, I feel as good as any team that I've coached here. Just their ability to, if they'll bring it every day, if they'll stay with an approach, if they have a good plan at the plate, on the mound, defensively. I mean, that's the key. If they have short memory and can move on. And you got to make some plays along the way, too. But, no, we're plenty capable. We've spent a lot of time defensively. We played excellent defense on Sunday. Our last center squad took a couple hits away, which we'd like to see. And our pitching's been solid. I think it's as deep as we've been. Those guys will help us sort that out. I tell them all the time. We make that initial lineup 2, 3, 4 times, then the guys create it. And by knowing what you're going to get, trusting that you're going to get their best effort. So very excited about all of it.
Jim Bullen says he's an old pitcher and wants to know how the staff is looking. We'll talk about that staff. And again, we mentioned Davis Wright, a left-hander, probably come right off the top as a starter. Evan Myers have been a high-ranking freshman coming in. You got a guy like that. Shane Huntsberger has had an outstanding preseason as well.
Yeah, I don't know that Huntsberger's given up a run in quite a long time. He does a really good job throwing strikes. And gives us we know what we're going to get from him. He's really good fielding his position. He can hold the run game. He's quick to the dish, and he's going to mix it up with 4 or 5 pitches. Our guys are glad they don't have to see him anymore because they haven't scored a whole lot off of him since he's been back or since even in the fall. I don't know that he has given up much. So Evan, very talented freshman. I think he's got a chance to get in there too. I don't know exactly what Dusty's going to do yet, but excited to see what he's capable of. He's a 90-93 mile-an-hour left-hander with a quick arm. He's super athletic. If he can grow and mature throughout the year, where towards the end he's not a freshman anymore, he's got the ability to be very good.
Haven't even talked about probably your hardest thrower, perhaps, at least I think, looking at it, add a little bit of bulk in the offseason, a little bit bigger coming in, but Carter Burnett coming off an outstanding season where he was kind of thrown into the fire, ended up being a end of the year starter. Talk about the guy from just across the mountain over in Asheville.
Yeah, no, he's he came here, we saw him, he was mid to upper 80s, and he just continues to get better. A lot of that's what he's done in the weight room and the kind of weight that he's put on him. He's a horse. and to start the year out, I'm pretty sure he'll be on the weekend too somewhere. I mean, he gave us a lot of good starts. I think it was after Samford we started running him out on Sundays last year, and then he, even in the game against ETSU in the Southern Conference tournament last year, he threw amazing, threw good enough to get the victory. But he's gotten better, and that's what you want to see, just growth amongst the staff and the roster as a whole, and I think a bunch of guys have improved.
You got to feel good coming in, talking about the left side of your infield being veteran. You talk about Trent Turner, the Leggett #7 legacy there at shortstop. You talk about Mason Holton over at third. You got a couple of guys that you know can play over at second base. You talk about a guy, Jalen Jones, who was having an outstanding year coming in before the injury last year that sidelined him. Trey Speed stepped up. Jackson Lyda might be one of the X factors, a guy that can play just about anywhere on the infield. Third base, second base, you put him just about anywhere. Might even be a good shortstop as well. And in first base, what are you looking over there? Talk about your infield.
I mean, the one thing I do know about our infield, Holton and Turner will be on the left side, and those guys have improved. I think that, one of the two, if they could both be up for Conference Player of the Year type stuff. I think, at second base, those guys have been in a battle. I mean, all three second-year players in our program, when we recruited them, we didn't know that Trent and Mason were going to get the extra year. And so, I mean, I think if we had to, they could all go out every day this year and play third, short, and second. So we got a decision to make there. And then, first base, we've used a couple guys over there, and that's probably still a work in progress as far as, I don't know that we have an everyday first baseman yet, but we have a couple guys that, depending on the matchup and what we like, and we'll see who gets going and gets hot throughout. But Cole Jones has worked over there, Jackson Godfrey, Marshall McGowan, and Trey Spees even this past inter squad has worked out over there a little bit. So, second and first still up in the air. I'm not exactly sure what'll happen there, but have some candidates that are really good.
Looking forward to that. Did you talk about your outfield? You mentioned Wyatt Stanley has seen some time in left field. Elijah Smith might be the fastest center fielder in the Southern Conference. He's back. Who have you got in right field? I know Cole Jones has seen some time in right field. What are you looking in your outfield off the top?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Wyatt Stanley would play left if we open today. Brody Raleigh had an outstanding weekend. He's put himself in the conversation for an opening day start or opening weekend start, and he's more of a left fielder too. Elijah will be in center when we start out today. Right field, there's been a bunch of guys out there. Caden Haywood, who's been under the weather a little bit lately. Walker Fox. Yates Sykes, Dominique Robinson, and we've actually moved Jalen out there a little bit too. He played some center field for Loganville in high school when he was younger before he moved to shortstop, and he's looked very good out there too. So really, I mean, in the back of my mind, I always think about where the tournament's played and how huge center and right field are. So you got to have somebody very athletic. And last year with Corn and Elijah out there, I felt like they had it covered pretty good. So, that's something that's always in the back of our minds as far as not just at our field, but, Greenville, it's a huge park. So you got to have almost two center fielders out there. But, those guys are battling. They've done a good job. Every one of them is a little bit different of a player, but I think that they'll all see time and who wins that job initially, I don't know, but a couple good ones to choose from.
What I'm also hearing is I need you to wear uniforms with numbers on the front early on so that we can make changes in the computer, because if we wear the uniforms that don't have numbers on the front, it's going to be a long day for the press box.
Yeah,
so make sure you do that first couple of games here. So we're going to rotate number of guys through, it sounds like, and it's good to do. George Washington in town to open things up. Bowling Green coming up. You got Akron in the midweek. A road trip down to Spartanburg to face USC Upstate, I think, early on in the year. You look at this schedule right here. You talk about some of the games coming up. You go to the Keith LeClaire Classic. Again, what Keith LeClaire meant to this place. Again, Keith LeClaire, Jack Leggett, Bobby Miranda, Todd Raleigh, some of the names. I've seen Todd around at several of the practices, trying to get Todd to do some television with us this year. I didn't think he would ever, in my wildest dreams, want to be able to do that. But I think he's going to try to do some TV with us this year on ESPN. But, again, your schedule, very, 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 very good schedule. And there's some good teams. Maybe not some of the same names, the name recognition that we've had in the past, but everybody on that schedule is going to be a tough out.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, and it starts with George Washington. I know their head coach, Coach Ritchie, Coach Leggett worked with Team USA Baseball, and he said that they're going to be well coached and ready to play, and I know they will be. They return. I think their ace arm, who was a reliever last year, a preseason all-conference first team. So they'll have more than just that. But they return, I think, 5 guys above the line too that received, that had significant at bats. So you're looking for 150, 200ish at bats. They got 5 guys back and had 4 or 5 pitchers above the line too. So I think they're going to come in here and give us everything that we want and more, and that's why you want to schedule good teams. You want to schedule teams that care, that have good coaches, and the other on their staff too. They have Tim Sinicki's son is their director of pitching.
Yeah,
I believe so. Tim's up at Binghamton and
long time coach at Binghamton.
Yep,
former Catamount.
So yeah, we'll have a little bit of Catamount connection with the 2 teams, and but I'm excited to get to meet them. I don't know them well, but I know they do a really good job, so I'm excited, and they play in a good baseball conference.
Well, Jim Bullens is actually jumping at Murray.
Oh yeah, no, it's he's been in the fire. He's seen it. Former number 7 too. He got the award last year, and he's put himself in the mix. He got a lot better with the bat, and I hope to include him. And use him too. Noah's the one for sure. I think he's gotten better, and he's really done a good job. And I think both of those guys have done a good job with our freshmen. They're both they're young, but they're talented.
Yep.
And great kids. All 4 of them back there. It's a special breed to want to catch and to sign up for what those guys have to go through every day. So I know the pitching staff appreciate it. I know Coach Dusty appreciates them, and just excited. It all starts and stops there. I mean, that's the captain of the defense, and so definitely excited with what those guys got there.
Well, what do they call it? The tools of ignorance, gluttons for punishment. I'm not sure what all you can say about catchers. We wear it.
Oh, yeah.
As the former catcher, we wear it literally oftentimes, but I appreciate the drop in there to make sure I got to the catchers. I got everywhere else on the infield, but didn't go behind the plate, and that's probably the second most important guy behind the pitcher who touches the ball every play. Catchers just about every play, but again, good schedule, and Coach, looking forward to this weekend as we get underway against George Washington. Hope the weather will hold. We got some great games scheduled. We got a scout day and a Little League day coming up. Todd Balcom really did a great job with this past weekend, looking for him to be involved in that Little League day coming up, I think March 21st, if I'm not mistaken, a date in March coming up. Jackson Paper Sunday run days. The youth can come down and run the bases, presented by our good friends over at Jackson Paper. They've got Catamount baseball ties over at Jackson Paper over the years. And
catcher ties.
Yeah, exactly. Catchers as well. See, that's what it is. But again, you talk about, we could sit here all day. We've got 20-plus guys. We got 40 guys plus on the roster. We got to about 20 of them maybe, but there's so many guys that are going to be factors, and we'll do this again and talk about a few more of them as we go forward. But again, best of luck this year. Good luck this weekend as George Washington comes down to take on our Catamounts this weekend. And Childers Field, Hinnon Stadium, what do they call it? The Ronnie Childers Field, looking forward. The Fortress Cullowhee, we got to defend that here. Looking forward to being back. Wish you the best of luck this year.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, Hook, and just please everybody come out and support us. We got a good team, and be fun to watch.
All right, so that'll wrap things up here. Again, we went from the hardwood to the diamond, back to the hardwood, back to the diamond. We talked softball and baseball. We've talked men's and women's basketball. One more time, we'll show the graphic. Busy week here in Catamount Country. Great opportunity to come and tailgate and pregame over at Catamount Jacks. You go over there, you get ready to go. You got women's tennis opening up their home season tomorrow afternoon against Young Harris. You got Citadel here for men's basketball on Wednesday night. It is a purple out. And again, please note the earlier time at 6 p.m. A white out against Furman coming up for women's basketball on Thursday. Then you've got baseball in town. 4 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock across the weekend. Doubleheader action, if you will, with baseball and women's basketball on Saturday. Again, check CatamountSports.com for any weather-related schedule changes that may come up. Also, our social media, if you are so inclined, at Catamounts or at Catamount BSB for baseball. That's how you find those. One final plug here. Vote for Pause. The Ingalls Mascot Challenge up and running now. go online and find it's on our website. You can click the link. You can vote once a day. Call your mom, your dad, your grandmother, call everybody. Everybody needs to go vote for Paws in the Ingalls Mascot Challenge. Could be money back for Western Carolina. Ingalls, one of our major sponsors here at Ingalls Court at the Ramsey Center, so we want to make sure we win that. And again, keep that Ingalls money here in Western North Carolina. And again, mark your calendars again for March 25th. It's one day for Western. We'll tell you about it all throughout the coming weeks. As we count down to one day for Western, it's a one-day all-in giving. Great opportunity. Catamount Nation came through such a great way on Giving Tuesday. Baseball got some great donations in when it came to Giving Tuesday back in November. This is kind of a Giving Tuesday type of event. One day for Western, an all-in giving day across our campus. Visit oneday.wcu.edu. For Jonathan Sippis, Jim Clift, Tim Kraft, and Alan Beck, and we'll say for Kim Beck as well, Daniel Hooker saying so long. Appreciate you tuning in. Again, a little bit longer of a show, but we got all the coaches in. We'll see you next time right here in Catamount Country. Be here this week as we back our Catamounts. So long, everybody.